take back that, I was humbled, when I heard all the amazing things that people are doing, risking their lives, risking their futures, risking their careers, their families, to see the change that we all talk about wanting to see on our continent. And that it wasn't just about who I am individually, but it was about what the countries can do together, an understanding of a mindset that I'm always passionate about Africa, the continent, not as what we see it and what we know it to be, the statistics that are written everywhere, and the statistics that I think if anybody stood up, they could eloquently say of all the things that aren't going right, and all the, the wars and the famine and the hunger, which are a part of it. But the reimagining of what Africa could be, and so what I'm taking back with me is that this has been an opportunity, a seed, there have been, criticisms, both positive and negative, but for me, it's a seed. It's a seed to say, what can we take back to do with the support that the United States, from the president, to the secretary, to the undersecretaries, to the staff that have said, look, we are a friend of the continent, and away from the historical idea that, Africa, we just need money or we just need this, but how can we come to the table with you to better bring about a change that's going to be positive?
What I'm gonna take back with me is a lot of hope. In our individual countries, we were doing our own bit. We didn't realize, in fact, we were just doing our own little bit, and then some people recognized that somewhere and said, this is happening, would you like to be a part of it? People are brimming with ideas. I know there is hope for Africans, that are also thinking the same way. There have been times when I would want to speak and then somebody else will speak before me, and whatever I wanted to say, they have already said it. So that shows that we are all speaking the same language, and there's a lot of hope for the continent, and that's what I'm going to take. I have greater hope for African ideology. I am a Pan-African, both by ideology, because I believe that unification is the way forward for the continent, both politically and economically. I want to say to each and every one of you, yes, today we are all thinking right, but let's not forget that those who are messing up the continent today were once also wearing the same shoes that we are wearing today, so that when we are in those positions, when we have the chance to integrate, when we have the chance to make a difference, let us not just settle for maintaining the status quo, but let us work to make sure that Africa really...
I think fundamentally, I've been transformed as a leader. I have, sitting there listening to everything that we've been through, I've become a better person. And it's not that I wasn't good enough. It's that I was, even if you are at your best, you must always better yourself. Yeah. That's what I've learned. No matter how much I've given already, I must always better my sessions. How, as Africans, sometimes we have an inferiority complex because we feel like we say second-class citizens, and we've been talking about changing perceptions, not about Africa. But I think what it is as Africans, it's about agency, it's about power. What we need to do is change perceptions about ourselves. I think the journey starts with this way is the fact that I've been transformed as a leader, as the fact that I feel valuable now because I've been to the White House. I've seen it rightfully validated. And as African leaders, because we feel like a lot of the times people look past us, or when they look at Africans, there's this, oh, you guys are great, but in the back of their minds, there's still this like, oh, but there's so many negative things. I visited the school before we came here, one of the teachers like, sir, go ask Barack Obama, the president of America, what Africa can offer America. I think that is also about agency and taking and reclaiming our power. And what can we offer? Because this mutual relationship, we've got something to offer. Before we have political, socio-economic change, it starts with conscious change. It's about decolonizing our minds. It is about knowing that we are the best. Not in the sense of us as Africans, but us as humanity, as people. We're here to contribute towards the progress of humanity. And I think it starts with ourselves. It's a very personal thing. It's a personal journey. And it's about knowing why we are doing what we are doing. I think that's important. Once we've established that, we can find the necessary systems to move on and to validate ourselves as humans, I think. And it's about overcoming these things. And what I loved about one of my sessions was what I learned was it is not the absence of courage that brings us to where we want to be, but it is overcoming and how we overcome this fear.
It's going to be a one-off occasion. And for me, I think that should not be the case. We need to have, once we go back, we will see how we can pester the U.S. Embassy, how we can pester the State Department, how we can pester our government to ensure that at least we will host at least a similar forum to this, where most of you guys would be invited, if not every Facebook page should be maintained. And
what are we doing first of all? Why are we doing this? what are our objectives? I think that is something we need to talk about and formulate and understand what we are doing, why we are doing, and how we are going to do it. And I think Thomas was covering a few things about how we can use media and technology in order to actually enhance what we're trying to touch on in the way forward. I think what it is always having a balanced perspective. You know, we need to establish a balanced perspective about Africa, and through that, that's because it's a marketing tool for us in terms of even attracting investment, even in terms of, you know, being confident in who we are. So that is one of the things that I would suggest. One of the things that's important from either side, and that's what I love about the Secretary of State's address, was she had a very balanced perspective about how things should go and how we should have power and how we should reclaim it, and that was excellent. I think we should continue within that sense.
I feel like it's all been said. But one thing that I'd like to also say is that it's not going to be easy. One of the things that we've heard time and time again is that it's going to take hard work. You know, the people that we have, even the undersecretary sitting here and the president and all the amazing people we've met, it hasn't happened overnight. And we are young, we have the energy. And we have to, like Patrick just said, agitate, keep pushing. You know, it's not going to be a walk, and we know what we want and we know where it is that we want to go. You know, the different barriers and the different problems and the different statistics, as I said earlier, of what it is that we cannot do. They're just that they're statistics. We can build, we can change opportunity. We have the responsibility to, and it's with us. I think we need to not lose that. Yes, of course, these things, you know, they're huge. You know, poverty is something that is what we've inherited, but the solutions are with us. You know, and the problems that we have, the answers are with.
I guess I could sum it up in one word, which is wow. This has been truly extraordinary, and you have all been extraordinary. There have been a lot of questions about what were our expectations. What were our expectations when we organized this, and what were we thinking of happening? Well, I can tell you, you've so far exceeded any expectations we might have had in terms of this, but we wanted it to be a dialogue and a discussion. We wanted to meet with you, to listen to you, to learn from you, and I think we have learned a lot. As I sat here today and as I was coming in today, one of the things that President Obama said struck me, and I'm sure many of you. He talked about the fact that when his father came to the United States, I think it was in 1961, the GDP of Kenya was greater than the GDP of South Korea. And today we know that they're not even close. We could spend a lot of time wondering why that happened or how that happened, but I would suggest a better way for us to think is to be, and to act, is to be sure something like that never happens. And I would ask you and us all to work together to ensure that we move from an era of confrontation to one of collaboration, to an era where we can all work together to achieve the full promise of all of your countries. And we look forward to working. A lot of people have said, what's next? And I get the great privilege of sort of summing up and telling you, yeah, we have thought about some next steps. And I want to sort of tell you some of the things that we're thinking of doing. First off, we will be reaching out to all our embassies and consulates to ask them to partner with you to organize follow-on events. We want to support your efforts to use social media to continue your conversation and cooperation. We will offer small-scale transformation grants to support future-oriented and creative proposals that focus on the themes of this forum. This will be administered through our embassies, and we'll get information out. We're going to be organizing Africa alumni enrichment workshops involving African alumni of U.S. government exchange programs to continue and expand the dialogue with a greater cross-section of African youth. We're very lucky to have you today, but I know there are many, many, many thousands of young people in Africa like you who you know, and we want to be able to find. Based on what we've heard from you in this forum, we've decided to organize a follow-on forum in Africa in the first quarter of 2011. Because this has been so successful, and because we want to reach out to a much broader network of your colleagues in Africa.